Hi everybody, welcome to inCARnation. We're in a Cobra. Whoa! Yep. With a big 302 V8. There you go, you keep telling me you haven't done enough muscle cars. We've got a nice muscle car, haven't we? When Carrol Shelby took a rather genteel and somewhat underpowered British sports car, the AC Ace, stuffed a small block Ford Windsor V8 into it, added a gallon of testosterone and created the Mark I Shelby Cobra, here was a car that straight away adorned the bedroom walls of teenage boys everywhere. And to be honest, made the Corvettes and Mustangs of that era suddenly look just a little bit soft. Well, those teenage boys never lost the love of that first Cobra, and now they own one, albeit a replica, as there were only 126 original Shelby Mark I's made, and they're all $1 million collectibles now. And those kids are now silver-haired men in their 70s and 80s, and they all look, well, pretty much like this guy. Here's Kerry.
Used to have a handlebar moustache, did you know that?
Oh,
Back in the day? Back in the day, mate. Big porno moustache.
you're just conforming to every cliche, mate.
Okay, so next to us we have, looks like an FM convertible Mustang.
Oh,
almost the same colour.
Your sister car.
And the sister car, but I tell you what, there's probably more room in the back of this than there is in that. Well, we were here 8 months ago, mate, and the weather was somewhat better for convertibles. This is beach weather, mate, not car weather.
The thing about in Australia, we've got such a warm climate when it's working that convertibles are actually best in the late evening or in spring or in autumn. But they're not really a summertime car.
No, definitely not. You get burnt to a cinder, mate. So we're in the sleepy village of Jamboree, which is a lovely little village.
Isn't it?
Just out of Kiama. But mate, you just love it. You're just driving it. Every second person stares at you. Every third person waves at you. So we're in third gear now. This has got a 5-speed old Falcon gearbox. When I say old, this is a 2003 build.
Yep.
So it's 20 years old, but you wouldn't think so. It's done 30,000 k.
Yep.
And it rides very nicely. But it's a whole new world driving this, mate. It's noisy. I can't hear myself talking. It's windy. And we're not even doing 80, mate. I feel like I'm doing 200.
Yeah.
But that's one of the good things about it. And it's experience.
These little wind deflectors are really good. I like them.
I don't know. That's 100. Felt a lot more than 100 to me.
So what is the Cobra? As good as it looks, this is not a modern car. I have to remind myself that the original Shelby Cobra is now more than 60 years old. Kerry's car is of course a replica, a steel frame tube like the original, but with a fiberglass body instead of the hand-rolled aluminium, or aluminum as the Americans like to say. As you can see, it's very well finished with a lot of attention to detail. It's running Jaguar XJ6 suspension, diff and brakes, as many of them do. Rack and pinion steering, front suspension, unequal length double wishbones, rear suspension and differential, vented front rotors and calipers, and the solid rear discs mounted inboard. All of this from the XJ6. It's a vast improvement on the original car's antiquated cam and ball steering and leaf spring suspension. But it's still a 20-year-old car with 40-year-old running gear on a 60-year-old basic design. I've never been in one before, so I'll have to be realistic in my expectations of how it drives. I can't expect it to handle as well as, say, even a 30-year-old Mazda MX-5. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. All right.
So yeah, just give it a few beans, mate.
Give it a few beans, not in first.
Not in first though, no, that's pointless, isn't it?
Light up the rear.
It may not, but it's just... You can see how the steering wanders?
Yeah. Woo! It's a bit all over the road. Yeah, it's cool. Woo! Touch the brakes and it jumps one way or the other. Yeah, it's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, it's not a car you'd want to race.
Which way are we going?
Left or right, you
Okay.
choose, mate.
buddy? I don't like the steering.
Yeah.
You get on and off the throttle and it just jumps from one
Yes.
side of the road to the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds lovely. Can I make an electric one that sounds just like it? Would that spoil it?
Just stop right here, mate. Yeah, it should be right now, mate. This is a bit of a...
I'm enjoying this. Jamboree pub.
That's a lovely experience. You know, the wind, the exhaust, a little bit bumpy.
I don't know why it makes me smile. It's not that, you can tell it's not a car you want to try and drive fast. I couldn't find the gear stick. I was looking over here and it's way back here.
It's in the right spot because many of them actually come off at an angle.
Yeah. The steering's got too much wander to give you confidence in speed. Does the nose get a bit floaty at speed?
Well, I haven't gone over 100, as I said, so I'm not game. Not game two is the wrong word.
It just doesn't feel right. The Cobra was a bitzer car from the start. A bit of this, a bit of that. Shelby fitted a steering rack from an MGB, a steering column from a Volkswagen Beetle, would you believe? So it's hardly a purebred heritage. This car has a steering rack from a Mitsubishi Sigma. Whatever works, buddy. The best part though, what they did have was a cool sounding Ford small block Windsor V8 with a decent amount of power. This is an engine Ford introduced in 1961 and kept making for 40 years in a huge range of cars. The capacities went from a small 221 cube right up to the 351. But even that wasn't enough. In an effort to keep up with the Ferraris in the racing team, with the Mark II version, Shelby, using the very American approach of too much is still not enough, fitted the big block 427 cube motor, turning a barely manageable car into a really tricky beast. So unless you're a proper race driver like Ken Miles, here seen talking with Carrol Shelby, you really don't want to be doing this. Now most people who build replica Cobras make a lot of sensible improvements, and there are quite a variety of engines, gearboxes and drivetrains. Go to a Cobra Club meeting and you'll rarely see two cars the same. What they will have is that Ford V8 though, which is really the signature of the Shelby cars. Burning your leg when you first get out of one of these is a rite of passage that I avoided this time, as I remembered how much it hurt after doing the same thing on a Harley I once borrowed. Now Kerry's car, I think you'll agree, is beautiful. It's true to the spirit of the original Mark I, but with a bit of bling from the later cars, like the side pipes. Blue, I think, is the Cobra's iconic colour, often with silver or white stripes, whether it's Le Mans blue, Guardsman blue, Indigo blue, Princess blue, or the Viking blue as used on the Shelby race team cars. Blue is good. This motor is the classic 4-inch bore, 3-inch stroke, 302 cubic inch, 5 litre. It's a well-proven engine that can easily produce 300 horsepower and 300 foot-pound, but this one's running on LPG only, and I suspect putting out somewhat less than that. Kerry thinks only about 200 horsepower, but I think it's probably got closer to 250. Many of these cars are automatics, but this one uses the Borg-Warner T5 5-speed manual box. It's got a very short, notchy throw. It may look like an imposing car, but it's actually not that big. Slightly shorter and wider than an NB Mazda MX-5, but with an almost identical wheelbase. It's actually quite a small car. I don't feel terribly safe, you know. Airbags, crumple zones.
Not too much of any of that, is there?
You don't want to be going a bit too crazy in this car, do you? Seatbelts need a little bit of encouragement to hold you in.
And that's why I won't track it. So as I said, I've got a massive respect for the guys that used to race these back in the day, because they would have been more difficult than this.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Ken Miles with the 427.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing's probably got about 200 horsepower, I'm guessing. So his thing would have had 450 horsepower.
Yeah, a lot of people get 500 more horsepower out of them. Just be crazy, wouldn't it? Like looking at early Grand Prix cars, or even the Le Mans cars from even the 70s. Look at a Porsche 917 with the body off, and you go, crap, look where the driver is. He's the first thing to hit another car is his feet, you know. Story of AC cars. They start in the sort of 1800s. Oh, can we fit around there? Just, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll be right.
Easy. But by the 1950s, they were making nice sports cars as AC, starting with the AC Ace, which I think is a very nice car. It's kind of like an Aston Martin DB4, which actually came later, but with a slightly droopier nose. Then Carrol Shelby saw that and said, oh, that looks nice, I'll
Wouldn't that be good if you threw away the pokey little 100 horsepower straight 6 that's got in it with 2.2 litres and 2.6 litres? How about we put a V8 in it, which means you don't have much foot space. So a lot of these cars are automatic because there just isn't room for the clutch pedal. But you've got a manual one. So what's the pedal space like down there?
Not much at all. Just see for yourself. Lucky you wore your ballet shoes, so things are good.
I have. I've got my racing slippers on.
So you have to wear small shoes. And you have to have small feet.
Yep.
And you have to be a small person. My mate, who works on all my cars, Gary, he can't get in it.
So for the benefit of our European, British and American viewers, pretty shit place to live, isn't it?
I hate it, mate. I hate it. I've got the beach. I love the beach. I've got the escarpment up here where you can do bushwalks or trail bike rides. I've got the escarpment, and from there is not a town for another 50 kilometres. It's all bush. It's all state forest. Royal National Park up here, which is the second oldest national park in the world. We're just spoilt down here, mate. Whether you like the beach or you like the country. I do lots of country drives. I'm in a couple of car clubs.
Nice place to live.
It's like I've died and gone to heaven, honestly. Just love it here.
You know, people talk about, oh, I've got a motorbike because I want that wind in the hair, outdoor living. You don't get that on a motorbike. You got this tiny little slot to look out, and you've got all those clothes on there. You got to get. This is indoor outdoor. I've got the sill height here is about the same as my hips. I can touch the road with my hand. I can actually touch the road. And also you've got these side pipes, and everybody burns themselves on the side pipes once, don't they?
Yeah.
Just once.
Talked to someone a while ago, and we were talking about the noise of Cobras, and they said no Cobra is legal with the noise. I said none of them. You can.
Well, no Harley Davidson's legal then either.
Oh, they're atrocious.
But this is quiet. For a start, it's running on LPG to meet pollution requirements for this state. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to register it.
Yep.
But it's actually relatively quiet. It's just a very pleasant burble. I like it. And with a proper rear end in it, running a Jag rear end with inboard brakes, it's got decent handling at the back. No leaf springs, no live axle.
When you have a drive, you'll see what this is like, and you've got to pay attention. You're in the MX-5 or the Jag, you can just relax a bit. This you can't relax.
I must say the seats are quite comfy.
Yeah.
Although I'm sitting right on, I feel like I'm on a bar stool. I'm way up high. On car sales, there's about a dozen of them for sale in Australia, and they range from about 65 grand to 130 grand. This car, I reckon, is probably it's much better than the average one because it's just right. So this is probably 90 grand's worth of car, I reckon. Something like that.
There is a genuine one for sale at the moment.
Yeah, one of the genuine 150 original Series 1, 1.5 million. I'm sure it doesn't drive as well as this one.
Well, they wouldn't, would they?
Because
old cars just don't. He's in the Cobra Club. He put me onto it. I told him, I rang him and I said, I'm after a Cobra, mate. He said, oh, I know one for sale, really good build.
Yep. And that was this one?
Yeah.
Because you've had one before and it wasn't as good.
Yeah, I had one that was nowhere near as good. Bought it on emotion. Cobra guys love their Cobras.
Yeah.
And they keep them for years. I think I've done 2,000 kilometres in this car in 2 years. Tops.
Not much.
Because it has to be the perfect day to take this car out. If we hadn't been doing this, I wouldn't have brought it out. It's too hot.
Come on, mate, hang the arse out a bit.
Okay, let's sum up my driving experience. Do I think it's beautiful? Absolutely. Stunning. Do I want one? No. The thing is, you don't have to go fast to have a lot of fun, which is lucky because going fast in one of these can be a bit intimidating. It didn't rattle, it didn't squeak, but it just felt imprecise. A bit of a blunt instrument. Certainly not as much shove as I expected from a 5-litre V8 in a fairly light car. Surprisingly little wind buffeting, thanks I guess to the little deflectors beside and above the screen. Very good. I don't know what shocks it was running, but it was very well damped and the ride comfort not bad. Stiff, yes. Bump suppression good. I think the tube frame chassis in this car was very strong, and part of the reason it weighs 200 kilograms more than the original. The brakes were lacking in initial feel, but quite strong when you pushed hard. Low centre of gravity, stiff anti-roll bars, so not much body roll, and quite well balanced too, front to rear. With the engine set well back, it didn't feel nose heavy. And you're virtually sitting on the back axle, so the basics are all there for a good handling car. Seating, ergonomics, pretty hopeless. You move around a bit. As I said, it was more like a bar stool in a pub than a bucket seat. Gear stick position terrible. It's somewhere back behind you, but at least it's got a really short, notchy throw. Pedal area very tight and quite annoying not having anywhere to rest your left foot. Maybe this is more of an issue with the right-hand drive cars. It's no wonder so many people opt for the automatic, but it just doesn't seem right to have an auto in this car. To me anyway. But my main problem was with the steering geometry that I felt left a lot to be desired, vague at the best of times, but on and off the throttle the car just wanted to change direction all by itself. Something odd about the basic geometry causing caster or toe changes, I don't know, but it just did not feel comfy. I don't know if that's a characteristic of Cobras in general or just this car. Maybe the problem's me. It's been a long time since I've driven a 60s generation muscle car, and I've just forgotten how loose they feel. Look, it's a feel-good car to be experienced, the wind in your toupee on a balmy summer evening. To be seen in, to listen to. Want to make friends? Sure, just drive it to the beach and there'll be no shortage of people to talk to. Sadly, they'll usually be old bald guys like me.
So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching inCARnation today. Thanks for filling in for Mark. I can't understand why he didn't want to do this car. What's wrong with him? You got a message for Mark?
Live long and prosper.
And look, you can drive home in this, and I've got to drive home in that
That
boring little
BMW
hatchback.
clunker. Oh, you poor thing. That'd be terrible.
In the little hatchback.
That would be terrible, mate.
If you want to see a review of that car, there it is, up there.
Oh hey, you made it right through to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please share it with your motoring friends. And above all, click the little subscribe thing down here so you can see the latest videos when we bring them out, hopefully each week. I look forward to seeing you soon.